Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at a brand new Tier 9 battleship, the Yimeng. This is part of a new event for Update 15.1, the Lunar New Year. And we're going to talk more about how you get this ship. However, what is it all about? Well, you get to do that sort of dev strike alongside take 0 from torpedoes. Yeah, they just give you a consumable that reduces torp damage by 70%. Conveniently, reloads around the same time as Shimakaze torpedoes. Now, I'd love to talk about this ship and its characteristics, how it plays. I've played like 10 to 15 games in this ship already. I've found it very interesting to play. A little confusing on whether or not I think it's actually that good or not, which I think is really interesting. It's harder to play in certain situations, but sometimes it looks incredibly busted. But I can't just talk about the ship. Wargaming, why must you put these events in the game again? I thought we had turned a new page with the way last year ended. 2025, the back half of the year was incredible for events in World of Warships, but it looks like they're back to their old ways. So unfortunately, this video is not going to be mostly about the ship and its characteristics. We'll talk about that in another video. I have to talk to you guys about this Lunar New Year event. And this ship is only available in loot boxes. Unfortunately, all of these new ships, in fact, Yimeng, Messina, as well as Independencia, I'm bad with pronunciation. I am sorry, but the new carrier, the new cruiser, and the new battleship only available for loot boxes. No direct purchase option, no option for even overpriced Admiral bundle. That just isn't here. It's only in loot boxes. Also in these boxes is Atlantico, Schroeder, and Tai Hang. Tai Hang, notably, was available completely for free last Lunar New Year. If you were grinding through that event over 2 updates, you could get that ship for free. The other option, of course, was to get the new Dutch commander for free as a part of that event. But now it's here, it's back, and only for loot boxes. I am very, very sad to see this. Before we get into how absurd the price is, of which it's crazy, maybe the most expensive if you want to guarantee one of these ships. This might be the most expensive event we've ever seen. Wargaming, why? I just want to play your game and have fun, talk about these ships. You're forcing my hand here. I have to talk about your terrible monetization instead. I don't want to make these kind of videos, but I have to. I have to let people know about this. I would way rather be talking about the gameplay here. Unfortunately, it looks like Wargaming has not changed. The end of 2025, the 10th anniversary, all of that was simply a brief reprieve from the milking of the player base. I was worried about this, honestly. It looked a little too good to be true, and I even said this in initial coverage of kind of the back half of 2025, where I was so happy with the event quality. I wondered if this was just purely for the 10th anniversary of the game to get some goodwill back from the player base, and then, of course, they would go right back to things. I worried that we would not see an actual change from Wargaming. I worried that it was too good to be true and that they're just going to ping pong or pendulum swing between some of the best events we've ever seen right back to some of the worst. And it looks like we're right back to some of the worst. So we, of course, have 2 layers of loot boxes. Could not just be one, right? They're kind of addicted to this, these nested gambling boxes. So you're going to have to get lucky on the first loot box that you pay for to actually get the second loot box that contains all of these new ships. And even within that, you're going to have to get very lucky. So that balloons out the price and the number of loot boxes you need to open massively. Now, unfortunately, I don't actually know the pity timer on these loot boxes, so it's hard for me to fully calculate the exact math on the worst case scenario, but we can take a look at some of the average cases. Reminder that the worst case scenario is often like 2 to 3 times worse than what I'm about to talk to, which is kind of insane because even the average scenario is worse than the worst event last year was to guarantee a ship. Reminder, ZF6 was a little over 1,000 to guarantee. That's how bad we're gonna get into. Okay, so I also did not count some of the extra second layer loot boxes you would get once you have all of the ships available in the first layer of loot boxes. Hard to calculate that. So I've simplified things a lot. It could be a little better than what I'm saying here, but I really don't think it's going to be that much different. Again, it's just a ballpark of this event's cost. And please, if I did get any of this math wrong, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll do my best to pin a comment, description, change it. We'll talk about that more in other videos too if I do get this wrong. But I tried my best. Spent a lot of the day looking at this over this. So we have a 10% chance to get the second level container that we want, this Lunar Treasure container. This is what will contain Yimeng, this is what will contain Messina, and this is what will contain the new carrier, as well as Schroeder, Taihang, and Atlantico. So from that 10% chance in Defenders of Order and Ardents of Chaos container, we then have to multiply that 10% by an 8% chance of that ship dropping from Lunar Treasure. But that ship is one of 6. So if you're okay with getting any one of these 6 ships, being Taihang, Schroeder, Atlanta, you know, we've talked about these ships already. If you're okay with one of them, you don't really care which one, on average, it should take you 125 of the first layer loot boxes opening to actually get one of these. Maybe you don't want just one of these. Maybe you're not a CV player. Maybe you're not a cruiser player. Maybe you want one of the old dockyards and you don't really care about these new ships. Sorry, you're out of luck. Unfortunately, it is pure RNG if you're going to get it. So that is to get one of these to drop is 125 of the first layer containers. Very, very unfortunate. If you want a specific ship now, we got to divide that 8% chance in 6, right? We got to divide by 6 there. So now we get closer to 750 of the first layer containers, opening them to guarantee a specific ship. On average. Remember, we could get unlucky all the way through here. All of these odds, you could get unlucky. Most of the time, I tried to deal with the worst case scenario. How many containers, how much money would you have to spend to guarantee get some of these ships last year? Like ZF6 for a little over 1,000. D7 Provincian was a little over 500 US. Inshin was around that $300 or $400 range, if I'm remembering correctly. So 750 on average. Okay, that's a little bit scary. Surely they're not that much money then, right? Okay, the cost of the Defenders of Order or Ardents of Chaos containers, reminder, that is the first layer. These are the only ones you can buy. If you want 100 of them, which is going to be your best deal, that's 160 US dollars or 40,000 doubloons. So a little bit of simple math later, and we figure out that if you're okay with any of these ships in this Lunar Treasure, it's going to cost you about 200 US dollars or 50k doubloons if you're okay with getting one of these on average. You know, it could be a lot worse than that if you get unlucky. Now, if you want to guarantee a specific ship, well, that's 750 containers on average. Little simple math later, 1,200 US dollars or 300,000 doubloons. What? Like, what? Average, okay? On average, right? So you may get unlucky here, right? Sometimes the container just won't drop. Sometimes the ship just won't drop. Again, there's a few things here. I don't know the pity timer, and of course, I am not taking into account that once you have all the ships out of the Defenders of Order, Ardents of Chaos, that's the first layer of containers, once you have that, you're going to get more of these second layer containers dropping. I was not taking that into account in the math. Again, let me know if I did anything wrong. I feel like I had to have. I've been trying to double and triple check this because over $1,200 to guarantee one of these ships on average feels insane, especially considering last year it was around $1,000 to guarantee a ship. Worst case scenario was ZF6. I hope I'm wrong here, actually. Please, can someone tell me I'm wrong? Otherwise, this is very, very scary trajectory for the game. Now, there is also a little bit of hope. Maybe it's just copium, honestly. It would seem that way, but we'll see once the later events come out, okay? These ships that are new and only available in these loot boxes during this event, during this update, these 3, Yimeng, as well as the cruiser and carrier, will be available later on in some form of event like Steel will, which for the last couple Christmases has given us some of these event ships or just totally new ships available for a lot of steel. Can't use coupons really on that either. Very, very expensive steel ships then available. But Valparaiso was the example given, similar to that. Could not lock down, though, that it was going to be exactly like Steel Will. Don't know exactly what the resource cost would be either, so maybe it'll be, I don't know. But just something similar to Steel Will is all I was given, unfortunately. But maybe that's enough hope or copium to hang on to here. Oh, man, is 2026 start going to be just as bad or worse than 2025 start? Oh, please, we can't go back there, Wargaming. We can't go back. Now, also worth mentioning is that you may be able to get some of these containers for free throughout the event, just by grinding through missions. You should be able to, so there's a very low chance that you could get this for free. Please, though, please. There's no way. There's no way. 750, I mean, even 125 to get one of these 6 that are locked behind second layer loot boxes. There's just no way. Someone's gonna get it, okay? I mean, it has to happen. Someone's going to get it for free, and they're going to post about it on social media. Don't fall for it, okay? Don't just buy 10 or 20 crates and think you're going to get it, okay? The odds are so stacked against you, man. I don't know. It feels like unregulated gambling. I mean, what are these drop rates, man? It's crazy. It's crazy to me that this is where we're at in gaming these days. It's not just wargaming, but just like all gaming, man. It's so unfortunate. Anyways, that's probably enough of me ranting about the monetization about this game. I don't want to spend too long on that. I don't like making these kind of videos, like this first part of the video where I have to talk about how bad it is. I don't enjoy this, okay? I want the game to be good for everyone, but we have to talk about it when Wargaming is doing such bad things. Let's talk more about this ship. Or actually, one more thing is that Inchin is actually in some of these containers as well in the first layer, but that ship's also just available for direct purchase in the premium shop now too. Like, why can't we have direct purchase, man? It was going at least a little better when we were getting to Admiral bundles. They're still silly overpriced for a pixel boat, but at least it was a direct purchase. You could insert your credit card, you could put money down, and know you were getting something tangible out of it. Not oh, I put money down and then I get a chance to get something I want. No, that's not okay. We need to have just a honest transaction. We need an honest transaction where, I mean, none of this deceptive, shady gambling crap. Please, at least an option. An option, okay? I can't believe we're back here. I thought we were starting to get to the point of like, okay, we have Admiral bundles. Maybe we could offer just some regular bundles again, like we used to years ago. But no, they've slipped back, unfortunately. So we're right back here. We got to convince them that Admiral bundles are needed, are required to be offered. Okay, anyways, on to the ship. We need to talk more about this ship. I promise I will do another video on this ship because I do find it very interesting. I don't know how good it necessarily is, but I do find it very interesting. This consumable in particular, giving you 70% reduction to the damage of torpedoes, is wild, okay? This is not a good consumable for the game. This is a very, very, very toxic consumable for the game. Hydro is way less frustrating for an enemy destroyer to deal with, because then at least they're dodging the torpedoes, and if you do end up still hitting them, I mean, you're still getting a lot of damage. But completely or nearly completely negating the torpedo damage, it's just not fair. You don't even have to think about what you're doing. I can just full W key in like this. There's a Jaeger, there's a sub. I don't care. I eat torpedoes. I don't really care because I have this ability to just completely stop the Torp from doing damage to me. That's not okay. There's just no counterplay there. It's not even like you got to think about dodging. Like, no. You just let the Torps hit you. You click your button. You get 5 seconds of 70% reduced damage from the torpedoes. Awful, awful consumable. I cannot believe that they added this to the game. Honestly, I can't believe this is an actual consumable in the game. like it's like a force, like just click a button, get a force field? Like what? in special game modes, in space battles, sure, but it randoms? I can't believe this is a real consumable. Anyways, we'll talk about that more in its own video on this ship as well. We got a little more to get over here to give you a decent overview of this ship. You get heavy repair teams. So this is not a super heal. It's a long-lasting heal. Think of Sevastopol, and essentially you're getting a shorter version of that reloads a little bit quicker. They're all about the same in effectiveness now. I mean, Sevastopol went through huge buffs to actually get this now, but you have a 60-second uptime on Sevastopol with a 120-second cooldown time, healing you back for 30% of your HP. Yimeng here has a 45-second action time with a 100-second cooldown time, which will heal back 22.5% of your HP. A standard heal is 28 seconds with an 80-second cooldown that will heal you back 14% of your HP. If you do the math there, the HP per second is the same at 0.5% of your HP every single second. So it's not a super heal. It ticks for the same amount. It just lasts a little bit longer, and it reloads a little bit slower, but nowhere near as slow as the Sevastopol one used to. That one was at 180 seconds, something like that, a long time ago. Just awful. It was a terrible consumable. Now it's kind of okay. While I was playing, I generally found myself wishing that it would reload quicker and would not give me quite so much HP back. It's better in the situations where you're needing to burst heal through a bunch of damage while getting to a safe island like we did in this battle, but it's a lot worse for just sustained fire, I think. I would rather not have the long cooldown and heal back a little bit less at once, because we have to think about the permanent damage to our ship as well. Heals can only heal back damage that you take that's somewhat healable, right? So pen damage, how much pen damage can we heal here? Well, it's going to be 60% pen damage healing. Something like Valparaiso, the reason that just heals and heals and heals is 85% pen damage heal. That is basically all the full pen damage you're dealing is getting healed back. Fires and floods are 100% healed as well. So this is only a little bit, 10% above baseline, which is 50% for most ships. So you'll notice towards the end of some of these games or heals that it's a little bit hard to get full value out of it. I risk dropping so low in HP trying to maximize these heals. We only get 2 of them base as well, so you really do want to maximize these heals. It's not like you get an absurd amount of healing base. It's a little bit less healing total compared to a standard battleship and heal before taking things like emergency repair expert. I'm also taking the 3-pointer skill here, improved repair party readiness. When we get 2 million potential damage, we get an extra consumable. When your heal is so large and you don't get as many of them, that becomes a little bit more valuable. And it is not the easiest thing, but it's reasonably easy to get 2 million potential damage here, thanks to this being essentially a Vladivostok hull, which we've kind of seen a few of those recently, right? The BA hover ship or hovercraft or whatever. The Zarias is what was released recently for which has the Vladivostok hull as well. Here, though, it is a little bit different as we now get really strong secondaries here too. Some of the better secondaries at tier 9, I would say. The hitting DPM here is 49,800 at 10 kilometers, so you have full accuracy like Schlieffenlein secondary accuracy. These are 152 millimeter secondaries, and you actually get 15 of them per side, which can reach out to 11.3 kilometers if you fully build for them. Fortunately, though, they only pen 25 millimeters base. This is really important because if you take IFHE, they will not pen 32. It only gets up to 31. So that's why I'm not running IFHE on them. But worth building into these secondaries. They are very, very strong, especially because their firing angles are also very, very good. 30 degrees forward, 30 degrees backwards. You get all of them firing. Very nice utility here, or extra damage output. They can light a lot of fires as well, thanks to a 12% fire chance. And a base reload of 5.7 seconds means it's not the highest DPM necessarily, but they have higher alpha damage and higher fire chance, making them still very, very powerful secondaries, especially into lighter armored targets, right? Into DDs in particular. I mean, why is everything a secondary ship these days? I'm all for Brawling. Like, I love Brawling, man, but like, we have everything coming out these days is secondary ships. By the way, something like Bismarck or even Freddy, right? Think about those ships being the brawlers back in the day. Well, the secondary hitting DPM there at 10 kilometers is only 28,000. That's what the game used to be. Some of the best secondary. I mean, okay, that's what we're going to, I suppose. We do have a very large and exposed citadel here, and we should talk about the other major difference being these main guns. You've already seen them a lot throughout this video. I was using off and on a secondary build or a hybrid build focused on main gun accuracy here. It's also getting a buff, okay? This ship, I'm actually going to add that as a note earlier in this video. I should have mentioned that way sooner. But I played with a ship that is much worse than the one that you will be getting. It is getting a 3-second reload buff. So I had a 30-second base reload on these main guns. It's going to a 27 seconds. So that is going to buff these main guns a lot. They already are pretty decent main guns. Unfortunately, you do have regular Battleship dispersion table with a 1.9 Sigma. 12 guns, though, means that that's reasonably accurate. It's hard to use all of your guns, though, in a lot of these situations because of that exposed citadel and our firing angles being 38 degrees forward and 43 degrees backwards. So if you want to get up close and brawl, sometimes you're just going to have to forego using your rear turrets or whatever turrets you'd have to go so broadside to use, because you will take a lot of citadels. Now, this armor piercing here, these are 356 millimeter main guns, which is kind of low tier caliber, to be honest with you. So you only get 9,800 alpha damage on the armor piercing, but they have decent flight times. They're relatively quick and solid pen, actually. They kind of pen like 380 millimeter main guns, a little bit less than that, but pretty close to 380. So high pen on these guns. So you shouldn't have to worry too much about battleships at mid-range and certainly cruisers at longer ranges. And you also get 50 to 65 degree pen angles. That's petro pen angles, 5 degrees better than standard of 45 to 60. So you should notice if you hit, it can troll you. Okay, Battleship dispersion, it'll troll you from time to time. If you hit, though, the shells should be relatively consistent with the armor piercing. However, this might just be an HE spammer battleship, especially with the reload buff, honestly. You have 30% fire chance. I was surprised to see that. Usually when you have lower caliber guns like this on a battleship, they usually crush the fire chance down like to the mid-20s or something like that with a longer reload. But buffing the reload, keeping a 30% fire chance, 4,950 alpha damage on the HE means that compared to standard battleships at your tier, it feels like your HE is more comparable to standard battleship HE, where the armor piercing certainly has an alpha damage nerf. So the HE spam might be the right play. You have 59 millimeters of pen, which is a key threshold here. Make a big mistake here using this Torp reduction way too early, but we do manage to just barely live. Yeah, I was using the 2-pointer skill for consumable cooldown with your AA active. Very, very, very useful on a ship like this one. But we are going to go down to these torpedoes here. Even using prop mod, we can't quite accelerate fast enough out of the way there, which it does have great maneuverability to. Perhaps the greatest irony here of having one of the most busted consumables I've ever seen released to just completely negate torp damage, or essentially completely negate torp damage, is the ship is quite maneuverable. It's got great rudder shift time here of 10.7 seconds, built with rudder mod, by the way. Thanks to having poor firing angles and an exposed citadel, I tend to find myself liking steering gears on those kinds of ships. But even if we do remove this upgrade here, just take the standard prop mod, you're getting 13.3 second rudder shift time. That's cruiser level rudder shift. 880 meter turning circle radius is not great, but with that rudder, it's not so bad. The top speed here is just fine. I mean, over 30 knots feels pretty good. And even just taking one concealment upgrade, we still get 15.1 kilometer detect. Not the best, certainly. It's by no means cruiser detect. It's more like standard battleship detect. You can't even call this really that bad. I mean, I'm not taking concealment here because I want the extra heals. Not that I was getting through to each heal all the time. To be honest with you, I really was trying to get as much footage testing out, just intentionally getting myself torped is what I was trying to do a lot of the time. So getting that 2 million potential damage, I was way over pushing, but I mean, it's Vladdy Hull, so it's not hard to get to. And I was running a full, mostly secondary build here too, alongside Emergency Repair Expert for that cooldown on our heal in particular. And of course, you want Gun Feeder on this ship. But surprisingly maneuverable, great armor profile here, 40 millimeters of armor. Not the buffed version like Zarya had, but still, 40 millimeters is great these days, although that's maybe the next in line to get power crept. A lot of stuff pens 38 these days, but not 40. 32 mil bow, that is quite large, so if you pen 32 overmatch or just with HE, it's worth shooting for the bow section because Vladdy has one of the most hilarious silhouettes here. Good luck dealing damage with a DD, man. And you heal back so much at once, right? Like fires you just don't care about. You let them burn, honestly. 50 mil back here, and then if we look at the armor profile for the Citadel, it is pretty large and above water. Although, I mean, It's not that far above water, but when everything released these days has waterline or below waterline citadels, this is a large exposed citadel. That is certainly a weak point of this ship. It's hard for me to know exactly how powerful these main guns are going to be because of that massive reload buff. I mean, base reload is now going to be pretty much what I was playing with here with reload mod active. So a full secondary build will have around this main gun reload if you went auxiliary armaments mod 2. The AA is surprisingly okay. You actually get a lot of flak is the key here. Flak is really the only thing that you can hope for to shoot down planes before they drop you over and over and again. Continuous damage is just never enough. So 10 flak, that can sometimes hit. You definitely don't want to be left alone, but if you do get dropped over and over and over again, some of those, you can just stop the damage from the aerial torps. Okay, I could maybe understand it being aerial torpedo defense system, but why does it go to regular torpedoes, man? Regular torp boats have it hard enough these days with all the radars and all the spotting they got to deal with, and everybody playing at the back of the map. Everybody's kited, so you're not hitting torpedo. Like, they got it hard enough, man, for there to just be now a button that says, haha, you caught me off guard, you finally got your flank going at the end of the game, and nope, you don't get rewarded with damage. Really? No, this can't be. I really hope they just change this or remove this entirely, honestly. It's still an interesting ship without that. Fortunately, the torp protection is quite low otherwise, so if you do catch it off guard, or, you know, the user does not use this consumable very well, like I was doing in some of these clips, maybe then it still takes quite a bit of damage in that regard. I would recommend running at least a hybrid build for some of the secondaries, but maybe you can get away without some and still go more towards concealment. You know, we get down to a 13.6 kilometer detect then normally, which is still very, very good. Not great for a new ship released these days, given how the power creep is going, but relative to standard battleships from days of old, this is still great detection. And maybe you don't get to that last heal, and perhaps that last heal is a little bit less valuable when we only heal back 60% of pen damage. So it's possible that just foregoing that 2 million potential damage heal is worth it to maybe take something like fire prevention. Close quarters you know, the new build with the buffed DPM and close quarters combat here. Wait, that gets you down to a 21.38 second reload with close quarters combat active before any adrenaline rush. So suddenly it's like, I mean, a little bit of AR and that close quarters combat means that you're getting like a 20-second reload suddenly on these main guns. And you've got nearly 5k HE alpha, 32% fire chance, 59 mil pen. That's like battle cruiser levels. Sure, it's battleship dispersion, 1.9 sigma though. And improved pen angle AP with low alpha damage, to be fair. And not great base range either. Interesting. I am conflicted on this ship, okay? Certainly, I've spent most of my time looking and playing this ship, thinking about how I'm going to cover this event and how ridiculous I hope I'm wrong, bro. Please, let me be wrong here. Universe, please, let me be wrong about my math. Please. I don't want my math to be right here. $1,200 on average. It's not even worst case. I mean, what, 2x, 3x that number to get the worst case scenario if you want to guarantee one of these ships? That just can't be right. That can't be right. Oh, please let me be wrong. Anyways, that's going to do it for the first video on this event. I promise I will cover these ships more in depth. The next videos will be on the cruiser, and then we'll do another one on this battleship as well. Don't you worry, as well as talking about the good parts about this event, which include getting some tier 10 special ships and even the Lauria completely for free. So there is some good here still, but the new content, right? Not just old content being recycled. The new content here, very expensive, locked only behind gambling loot boxes, 2 layers deep. Really, really hate to see it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Maybe Wargaming will look at the comments and... No, bro. I mean, we were very, very forceful. We did our best last year, and they still went right back to the well. So... I don't have much hope for it, but I still gotta try. I gotta try and make these videos. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.